Good day, brothers and sisters. Let me begin by thanking Dr. Claudius Fergus and the other officers and members of the Emancipation Support Committee of Trinidad and Tobago for inviting me to participate in this Kwame Ture Memorial Lecture Series. Now, the theme of our discussion is Haiti Reimagined, Restitution, Reparations, and Solidarity. And I have been asked to reflect on this fairly recent series of articles done by the New York Times on the Haitian debt, the infamous debt that was demanded and imposed by France on Haiti back in the 19th century. In order to look at this matter, I think I need to do it against the background of the CARICOM reparations campaign that was launched in 2013. I, after all, am Barbados' ambassador to CARICOM. And some of you may know that CARICOM launched this claim for reparations against the Western European nations that were involved in colonization and enslavement in the Caribbean. And specifically, the claim is for the genocide inflicted on the native people of the Caribbean, and also for the enslavement of our African ancestors, the multiple crimes against humanity that were committed against our African ancestors during those centuries. And of course, Haiti is a member of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, and so our claim is also directed at France for the injustices done to Haiti. The recent New York Times series highlighted a number of things, but they're things that we always knew, that France demanded a payment of 150 million gold francs from Haiti if it was to recognize the independence of Haiti, if it was to give an undertaking not to seek to re-invade Haiti, perhaps to reimpose enslavement. We all know the story. Haiti, the government of Haiti, having agreed to pay this tremendous sum of money, was forced to take out loans with French financial institutions, crooked, and was open to a whole set of corrupt and crooked practices that did tremendous damage to Haiti over the years. In fact, the New York Times article tells us that Haiti eventually ended up paying 112 million francs on this 150 million franc debt, and that the cost to Haiti was somewhere between the equivalent of 21 billion US dollars and 115 billion US dollars. And apparently those figures were worked out by doing some very sophisticated calculations. Very, very, very intriguing, because when former Haitian President Jean-Bertrand Aristide launched a reparations or restitution claim against Haiti in the early part of this century, he was claiming 21 billion US dollars. So obviously Aristide's claim was based on some very sophisticated calculations as well. Now, a lot of people have focused on this debt. The Times article focuses on this debt as if it was something very unique. But I think we have to put it into historical perspective. The reality is that what France was doing to Haiti was insisting that the black formerly enslaved people of Haiti must pay for their freedom. So this 150 million gold francs was supposed to be compensating French slave owners for the loss of their property, including the loss of their property in human beings. This is a practice that virtually all of these European nations sought to impose right across the Caribbean when time came for the abolition of slavery. Dr. Eric Williams, in fact, has covered this in his book, From Columbus to Castro. I'll just read a quick quotation from Dr. Williams' book. He says, and I quote, "Compensation in the French colonies amounted to 126 million francs at a rate which amounted to 430 francs per slave in Martinique, 470 in Guadeloupe, and 618 in French Guiana. Compensation in the Danish Virgin Islands amounted to 5,500,000 francs, about $2 million, or 12 pounds sterling per slave. Dutch proposals in 1857 envisaged a compensation of over 16 million florins, to which the emancipated slaves themselves were to contribute. The proposed indemnity was based on a rate of 500 florins for each slave employed in sugar in Suriname, etc., etc. In Puerto Rico, the compensation amounted to 35 million pesetas." End of quote. In the British Caribbean, the British government, when time came to abolish slavery, and let's remember, to abolish slavery because the slave rebellions were coming so fast and furious, they recognized that they had no choice but to abolish it. But the methodology used by the British Parliament was to calculate the labor value of the then existing generation of enslaved persons. And that labor value was calculated at 47 million pounds. And the compensation scheme put in place was that the British government paid the slave owners 20 million pounds in cash, but the other 27 million pounds to make up the 47 million pounds, the other 27 million pounds, they required our supposedly freed ancestors to pay the slave owners, the slave masters, their supposed former owners, this 27 million pounds in unpaid labor during a 6-year period known as apprenticeship. So let us understand this principle. These morally bankrupt Europeans are saying that slave masters are to be compensated for their loss of property in human beings, and to some extent the colonial government will pay, but also that the enslaved people or the formerly enslaved people, that they too must contribute to compensating their former quote-unquote owners. And this is the principle that was being applied here in Haiti. Even though the Haitians had won their freedom through military conflict, successful revolution, the French government was determined that these newly freed, newly liberated, self-liberated black people must pay for their freedom. They must pay their former slave owners. And so let's be very clear about this. This was the principle, and it was a principle that they had applied not only in relation to Haiti, but also in relation to other Caribbean countries. Now, a lot of emphasis has been on the restitution for this payment made. But I want us, as important as that is, we must keep our eyes on the prize. The core of our claim for reparations is based on the crimes against humanity inflicted on the black people of Haiti during 145 years of enslavement. Let us recall the history of Haiti. The island of Hispaniola, originally colonized by the Spanish, but by 1659, the French had carved out, had taken control of the western 1/3 of the island of Hispaniola for themselves. And by the 1697 Treaty of Ryswick, Spain formally ceded that western 1/3 of the island to France. And so from 1659 to 1804, when Haiti won its independence, the black people of Haiti were subjected to 145 years of enslavement. And what a brutal enslavement. Again, I want to give you a little quotation. This time is from C.L.R. James's The Black Jacobins. And James is just given an insight into the barbarity of the slavery experience in the French colony of Saint-Domingue during that 145 years. And I quote, "There was no ingenuity that fear or a depraved imagination could devise, which was not employed to break their spirit and satisfy the lusts and resentment of their owners and guardians. Irons on the hands and feet, blocks of wood that the slaves had to drag behind them wherever they went, the tin plate mask designed to prevent the slaves eating the sugar cane, the iron collar. Whipping was interrupted in order to pass a piece of hot wood on the buttocks of the victim. Salt, pepper, citron, cinders, aloes, and hot ashes were poured on the bleeding wounds. Mutilations were common, limbs, ears, and sometimes the private parts, to deprive them of the pleasures which they could indulge in without expense. Their masters poured burning wax on their arms and hands and shoulders, emptied the boiling cane sugar over their heads, burnt them alive, roasted them on slow fires, killed them with gunpowder, filled them with gunpowder, and blew them up with a match, buried them up to the neck, and smeared their heads with sugar that the flies might devour them, fastened them near to nests of ants or wasps, made them eat their excrement, drink their urine, and lick the saliva of other slaves." End of quote. Just an inkling of the barbarism, the brutality, the crimes against humanity that were inflicted on the black people of Haiti. And so while it is important that we focus on the infamous debt and we make the case for restitution, it must not permit us to lose sight of the fundamental case for reparations based on the crimes against humanity that were inflicted on the black people of Haiti during 145 years of colonization and enslavement. And brothers and sisters, does Haiti truly needs that reparations now? Haiti finds itself in a crisis. And you know, as as Haiti tries to come out of the crisis that it finds itself in, it finds powerful nations like France and the so-called international community being very mean-spirited and refusing to make available to Haiti the resources that it needs, to end the humanitarian crisis, the resources that it needs to rebuild its security and its law and order apparatus, the resources that it needs for development. And this is where we need to deploy the reparations claim, the reparations argument. We need to be saying to these powers, look, because of that history, because of the way in which Haiti and the Haitian people were brutalized, were injured, were raped and plundered of their resources, you now owe Haiti. Haiti now has a fundamental right to development. And you, France, and you, United States of America, and so many other entities, you are under an obligation to compensate Haiti. You are under an obligation to facilitate that right to development. And, you know, in the CARICOM reparations movement, we have always said that Haiti must be our first priority, that yes, we are pursuing reparations for all of our CARICOM countries, all 15, but Haiti is a special case. Not only because so much damage was done to Haiti, but because Haiti contributed so much to our freedom struggle at such great expense to themselves. And so we welcome the exposure, the profile that Haiti has been given as a result of the New York Times series of articles, and this is in keeping with our reparation strategy. We are at the stage where we have to tell the world our story. We have to bring the story to the attention of world public opinion, and we have to use the force generated by that kind of international publicity to press our claim for reparations. And this is an opportunity where we must really live up to that commitment that we gave way back in 2013 when we said Haiti was going to be our first priority. The New York Times series, by bringing this thing to public attention in this contemporary era, this sends a signal to us. Let us double down. Let us make use of this new sensitization of world public opinion, and let us double down on demanding and securing reparations for our long-suffering Haitian brothers and sisters. I thank you.